Hey everyone, Josh May. We got Adam Alexander, host of NASCAR Race Hub and a football analyst for Fox Sports 1. Adam, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Josh. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So how do you get your start in broadcasting?
Well, I was really lucky. I knew at a young age this is what I wanted to do, and I'm from Indianapolis originally, and so the high school I went to, North Central, had a radio and television program. So my junior and senior year of high school, I spent half of my school day doing radio and TV stuff. We had a radio station where I, DJ'd, produced the news, read the sports, was doing play-by-play, all that. We had a TV station, or TV studio rather, where we produced 2 shows weekly, 1 sports show, 1 news type show, and so I got in at a young age and have been doing it ever since, and just been very fortunate along the way.
So when did you start working with what is in the sport of NASCAR?
I started doing some local racing stuff in the late 1990s. I worked at a local TV station in Evansville, Indiana, so we covered NASCAR. Started working at a local dirt track probably somewhere in 1997, 1998. And then through that, started meeting people in the NASCAR industry. First did some races with MRN Radio in the fall of 2000. And worked with them until 2006. Started doing some work for Speed, and just have kind of grown from there.
So, is that when you started doing the Camping World Truck Series pit reporting?
Yep, I started working in 2006. I did 2 races at the end of 2006 with Speed on pit road doing the Camping World Truck Series stuff, and continued in that role in 2007. Started to grow with him in 2008, doing some other things, hosting a show called NASCAR in a Hurry, also doing some studio work on a program that was then called the Speed Report. Eventually got an opportunity to go to work for TNT, so I was working for both Speed and TNT, and then in 2010, moved into the studio full-time for Speed, doing Speed Center, and now, as you mentioned, I do NASCAR Race Hub, I do some college football, college basketball, and I'll be at the track some this year doing practice and qualifying shows.
So, for this year, what does your schedule look like for this year? Are you going to be going to every race, or what's it like for the races?
I won't go to every race. I was in Daytona last week doing some stuff. In fact, I just got back to Daytona. I was down there today doing some NASCAR Nationwide Series practice.
Yeah, I saw you on there today.
Las Vegas doing some nationwide practice and qualifying. So I'll split my time up between the studio and the road, and then of course this summer when TNT fires up, I'll do those 6 Sprint Cup races throughout the summer months for TNT.
Awesome. So, who is growing up? Did you have a favorite broadcaster that you kind of looked up to and wanted to follow their footsteps?
Well, I worked with a lot of people throughout my career that helped me a lot. I spent some time while I was in Daytona with someone who's become a very good friend of mine, Vince Welsh, who worked for ESPN, and I actually interned for Vince, way back when I was in college, and so, he and I have developed a great relationship, and it's been, pretty neat now that we get to kind of work side by side a little bit, doing the NASCAR thing. So that's someone that's been special in my career. I actually, when I was working in Evansville, Indiana, in local radio and television, I had the opportunity to work under a man by the name of Bob Buck, who is Jack Buck's younger brother, Joe Buck, on Fox Sports, who was his uncle. And so, Bob was huge in my career and helped me grow. And then, now I'm getting into the NASCAR thing. I worked at MRN Radio with Barney Hall, and Barney's a legend. Couldn't say enough nice things about Barney Hall. I look at a guy like Mike Joy. Mike and I have not really worked together all that much, but I look at the path that he's taken, the way he goes about his business. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Mike.
So you're saying you got to work with a legend like Barney Hall, and you're actually you're with the same network as Mike Joy, so do you think you'll be working with him a little bit this year?
It's possible. Mike and I kind of play similar roles, so sometimes it's hard for guys like he and I to end up on the same show and work together. But it would be great. I couldn't respect anyone more than Mike Joy. I think that having had the opportunity to do play-by-play of various sports, host different shows, I think motorsports play-by-play is one of the more challenging sports that you will have an opportunity to call. And I, in doing that, realize what goes into it, how difficult it can be. And watching Mike do it on the air, and how effortless he is in going about it, the knowledge that he has, not just about the competitors and the venues where we race and the history of the sport, but just his overall knowledge of every aspect of racing is amazing to me. And so I don't know if we'll work together, but I certainly would love to, because there'd be a lot of growth that would go on because Mike's so good at what he does.
So, a lot of people have been wondering, this is a question I get a lot, do you all at Fox and TNT, do you all ever talk to the ESPN people?
Oh yeah, I mean, we have a pretty friendly relationship, outside the business. I think we all realize that despite the fact maybe we work for different networks, that someday, we could be working together. So certainly you don't want to burn any bridges. Today, in fact, our booth down at Daytona is right next to the ESPN booth where they will broadcast their races from. And so, I was visiting with Alan Bestwick, talking to Dale Jarrett, said hello to Andy Petrie. So yeah, I think the possibility exists for all of us to someday, be on the same team. We all respect the job that the other one does, and so therefore, the communication lines are pretty well open. We may not subscribe to all the same theories on the air. There is somewhat of a competitive environment in that regard, but we all, respect the job that one another does and keep a pretty friendly atmosphere.
So who's your prediction for the Daytona 500?
Well, I've been saying Kevin Harvick. I like what they've done. I think Kevin's a great plate racer, and he's won the 500 before, and so I would say at this point, if I had to bet, I'd bet on Kevin Harvick. But having said that, you could list 15 drivers, and I could right now, of people that I think could win it, make a good case for them. And to be quite honest, at the end of the day, none of them may win it. It's such a wide open race, and I think it's going to be very entertaining on Sunday.
So, you said you worked in the Truck Series for a while. The Truck Series just unveiled their new body style. What do you think about their new body style for the trucks?
Well, I think it'll be good. I don't delve into the technical side probably as much as I should, but I think the changes are positive, and I think it's great that we continue to look at ways to make racing better, more safe, and more financially feasible for the competitors. And I think the Truck Series is some of the best racing out there. I don't think 2014 will be any different. And I know I'm one of many that's looking forward to the green flag tomorrow night at Daytona.
So, are there cars on track right now, I think? Are they racing right now for the duels?
Yeah, so tonight is the Budweiser duel. So we'll find out tonight the lineup for the Daytona 500.
Awesome. You can see that on Fox Sports 1. And, so, what do you think, the changes about the chase? The changes to the chase, like the new chase format. What do you think of that?
I think it's great. I think any time that you can, generate more excitement in sports, that's what it's all about. And I think the changes that NASCAR has made with this new chase format is really going to generate excitement, not just in September, October, November when we get in to the playoff time, but I think throughout the year, teams realizing that pretty much all you need to do is go out and win a race and you'll be in the chase. That's going to create a lot of drama at the end of these races and should generate a lot of excitement once we get closer to the actual playoffs themselves. So I think it's going to be a good thing. And then when you go through that process of elimination, the three race segments that we'll go through leading to Homestead, where you'll have 4 drivers running for a championship. I think NASCAR thought this out greatly, and I think it's a format that's being received well by the competitors. Most fans seem to like it, and I think once we go through it for the first time and everyone realizes what it's all about, at the end of the day, people will be very pleased with what the product presents.
All right, my last question for you today. Who's your pick for the championship for the Sprint Cup Series?
Well, my thought has always been you're the champion until someone knocks you off, and that's been a common theme for Jimmy Johnson in recent years. Obviously, he's won 6 of them in the last 8 seasons, and the 2 years he didn't win it, if a couple of things go his way, he could very well have won those too. So I think Jimmy Johnson's the guy to beat until someone knocks him off, and kind of like the Daytona 500, I think there are a number of other drivers that you could make a case for and hit it dead on at the end of the season. But I think if you're a bet man, you'd be hard-pressed to bet against Jimmy Johnson when you consider how good they seem to be year in and year out.
All right, thanks, Adam. Stay on the phone with me for a second. I'm going to close the show.
Okay.
All right, that's all for NASCAR Minute. I'd like to thank Adam Alexander for joining us.